Hello friends, today we are going to start a new topic, that is logic programming. Now, what is logic programming? Logic programming is a programming paradigm which basically means it is a particular way to approach programming. So what is basically our logic programming? It is a type of programming paradigm. Now, what is programming paradigm? The concept of programming paradigm arises owing to the need to classify programming languages. It refers to the way computer programs solve problems through code. So we all know very well that computer programs are used to solve any type of problem using code, and in those programs we are using the concept of programming paradigm. Now there are different types of programming paradigm. So first is imperative. This uses statements to change a program state, thus allowing for side effects. So basically in that paradigm we are using statements. Next is your functional. This treats computation as an evaluation of mathematical functions and does not allow changing states or mutable data. So in that paradigm we are using mathematical functions and we are evaluating those functions. Next is declarative. This is a way of programming where you write your programs by describing what you want to do and not how you want to do it. You express the logic of the underlying computation without explicitly describing the control flow. So in that paradigm, what you do is you will write your program by describing what you want to do and not how you want to do it. So basically we are declaring something in this paradigm. Next is object-oriented. This groups the code within the program in such a way that each object is responsible for itself. The objects contain data and methods that specify how the changes happen. So in that you know very well that we are using the objects. We basically know the language C++, which is totally based on that paradigm. So that is your object-oriented. Next is procedural, that is your C language, you can say. This groups the code into functions and each function is responsible for a particular series of steps. So basically in this we are following the procedures. Our code is in the form of procedures. Next is symbolic. This uses a particular style of syntax and grammar through which the program can modify its own components by treating them as plain data. So in this paradigm, we are using a particular style of syntax and grammar and we are following that syntax throughout the program. Next is logic, which is our logic programming. This views computation as automatic reasoning over a database of knowledge consists of facts and rules. So basically in this programming we have provided with information. That information will be in the form of facts and rules and we will use those information to compute our result. Now let's see. In order to understand logic programming, let's understand the concepts of computation and deduction. So basically these are the two concepts which we will use in logic programming. That is your computation and deduction. To compute something, we start with an expression and a set of rules. Now what is computation? In that concept, for computing something, we start with an expression and a set of rules. That is some knowledge, some information to compute something. This set of rules is basically the program. We use these expressions and rules to generate the output. So basically we will use those information to find out our output for computing our output. Now see this example. In this example we have to compute the sum of 23, 12 and 49. So what will happen here? We have given the information 23, 12 and 49 and we have to compute something, that is we have to compute here sum. So 23, 12 and 49 is your information which is provided to you, and then we are finally computing its sum. On the other hand, if we want to deduce something, we need to start from a conjecture. We then need to construct a proof according to a set of rules. In essence, the process computation is mechanical, whereas the process of deduction is more creative. Now when we write a program in the logic programming paradigm, we specify the set of statements based on facts and rules about the problem domain, and the solver solve it using the information. So when we write a program in the logic programming paradigm, we specify a set of statements, that is your information, which is in the form of facts and rules. and then the solver will solve it using those information and will compute the output. So basically computation and deduction, these are the two concepts which will be processed in the process of logic programming. So in our further tutorial we will see the Python programs. We will see different examples and we will solve those examples using Python and logic programming. In our previous tutorial we have seen about the introduction of logic programming. What is logic programming and what it is basically. Now we are seeing the concept of logic programming. So in programming, object-oriented or imperative paradigm that we have seen, we always have to specify how a variable is defined. So this is the basic need in those programming paradigm. We can pass an uninstantiated argument to a function and the interpreter will instantiate these variables for us by looking at the facts defined by the user. Now this is the step followed in logic programming. So what will be done here? We can pass an uninstantiated argument to a function and then the interpreter will automatically instantiate those variables for us by looking at the facts which we are providing as an information to the program. So this is the basic step followed in logic programming. This is a powerful way of approaching the variable matching problem. Now variable matching problem is a problem which we can solve using logic programming. So this is a powerful way of approaching that problem. The process of matching variables with different items is called unification. Now that particular process to match variables with different items is called unification. We need to specify something called relations in logic programming. These relations are defined by means of clauses called facts and rules. Now, what is relation here? Relation is a combination of facts and rules. So we know that we have to provide some information in logic programming to compute any output, and that information is in the form of facts and rules. Now what are facts? Facts are just statements that are truth about a program and the data that it's operating on. Now what are facts? Facts are those statements that is truth about a program and the data that we have to operate on those data. The syntax is pretty straightforward. For example, Donald is Alan's son can be a fact, whereas who is Alan's son cannot be a fact. So this is an example of a fact that Donald is Alan's son. So this can be a fact that Alan's son is Donald, but who is Alan's son cannot be a fact. So facts are just statements that are truth about our program. Every logic program needs facts to work with so that it can achieve the given goal based on them. So every logic program needs facts to work with them. So this is the information which we are providing to our program in our logic program on which logic programming is applied. Now what are rules? Rules are the things we have learned about how to express various facts and how to query them. Now we have provided here facts. Now how to express those facts and how to query them, these will be provided using rules. They are the constants that we have to work with and they allow us to make conclusions about the problem domain. So these are the conditions which will be provided on the facts and we have to operate those rules on our facts. For example, let's say you are working on building a chess engine. You need to specify all the rules about how each piece can move on the chessboard. So what will be the rules? That how we will move our pieces on the chessboard. In essence, the final conclusion is valid only if all the relations are true. So if all the facts and rules will be satisfied by our movements, then that will be our final conclusion. Now solving problems using logic programming. Logic programming looks for solutions by using facts and rules. We need to specify a goal for each program. In the case where a logic program and a goal don't contain any variable, the solver comes up with a tree that constitutes the search space for solving the problem and getting to the goal. So finally a tree will be constructed for providing the final goal. And here we are providing the facts and rules for getting the solution. One of the most important thing about logic programming is how we treat the rules. Now, how we are treating the rules is the most important thing here. Rules can be viewed as logical statements. You can say that rules are logical statement. Let's consider the following example. Kathy likes chocolate. Alexander loves Kathy. This can be read as an implication that says if Kathy likes chocolate, then Alexander loves Kathy. It can also be construed as Kathy likes chocolate implies Alexander loves Kathy. Similarly, let's consider the following rule. Crime movies English, Martin Scorsese. It can be read as the implication, if you like crime movies in English, then you would like movies made by Martin Scorsese. So this construction is used in various forms throughout logic programming to solve various types of problems. Let's go ahead and see how to solve these problems in Python. So now we will see different examples in Python, that how we can apply, how we can use logic programming. Okay,